Hey guys, it's Sonia here. Thank you so much for joining me. It's another edition of the I Am podcast, the Sonia Janice show. I still am working on putting a nice, pretty little bow on it. But in the meantime, you've reached Sonia Janice. I proudly own the business Fresh Approach Fitness, Fresh Approach Wellness, and I am working again on rebranding to my first and last name. So you might see that on some of the socials. This is podcast 180, and I want to thank you today for stopping by. You're going to absolutely love today's topic. And literally, I am going to deliver this content a little bit differently than I would. I have a candle right here lit. I have my notes right here, and I have all of you, whether you're catching the YouTube or you're catching the Audible. I am going to post both ways so you can see, listen, play, stumble across this message if you are actually catching me through audio or video. So, my name's Sonia. I'm a dream catcher, a holistic health coach, helping you release the unwanted weight of stress, debt, and pounds. Think about that for a second. As an accountability coach, I help you keep your promises to yourself. We're heading closer and closer. The people who I love working with, the people that are following on this information, we're working closer and closer to living our best lives. We have that hunger, that desire. And if that's what you're looking for, if you're looking for accountability, if you're looking for fun, if you're looking for entertainment, if you're looking for community, and so many tips and tricks, paid and unpaid, through services like this, through my daily lives, paid things through my books. There's one right in front of me, and I think I'm going to go live next and talk about this. But this is my quarterly planner, and I am working on making today magical. And when it comes to making today magical, we're going to talk about standards. We're going to talk about boundaries. You know, have you thought about what your standards are? So I want you to sit back, kick off your shoes, or if you're painting a picture, finish painting, maybe have a notebook, pen and paper ready, but definitely have a coffee, water, tea, or me um, as we go through this together. I'm just going to sit back and read my notes to you. Yeah, I'm just going to sit back and read my notes to you. So, welcome. Today's episode is all about what we're really working towards. I teach people how to treat me by what I will allow. Stephen Covey said that, and I can so resonate with those words. I teach people how to treat me by what I will allow. How do you allow people to treat you? What are your standards? No, expect and demand more from yourself and from those around you. If you really want to make a change in your life, you have to raise your standards. You have to have a zero tolerance policy for mediocrity, really, for procrastination and behavior that impedes your best performance. Have you ever read the Four Agreements? If you have, amazing, right? If you haven't, it's a must read. And for me, it's an annual must read. But there are four agreements in that book. And for those that are live with me, I just turned to my chair, so that's not really nice. But I have the book and I wasn't prepared to talk about this. What is it? Always do my best, always speak the truth, take nothing personally. And I am gapping on that fourth one right now. And I am sure it'll circle back to me. So the four agreements. Um, Don McGill, and again, I forget his last name, Perez, maybe. An amazing book. And why I bring that up is because even if you live your life by that foundation, by those standards of the four agreements, it's a game changer. It is a complete game changer. We're going to talk about some of those standards today. Now, your standards could be to always tell the truth. Your standards could be to always be punctual, to really listen to people until they are finished. Perhaps you hold yourself to high standards, and what is of the most importance to you, is for you to set boundaries to those around you so you can then live by your standards. See, boundaries are things that make people not cross the fence. I was just thinking and using my hands. Boundaries are things that people simply can't do to you, like yelling at you, make stupid jokes around you, or disrespect you. You can set boundaries in all of those areas. Communicate clearly and make it a habit to address anything that bothers you on the spot right away. The sooner the better. And it just clears the air. You're not sitting in this space. The other person isn't sitting in this space. You're able to deal with it and move on, which is the best way of handling change mindfully. Remember, the proverb that says, in the right tone, you can say everything. In the wrong tone, nothing. The art is to find the right tone. I'm going to say that again. Remember the proverb. Oh, I just tripped that up. Remember what the proverb says. In the right tone, you can say everything. In the wrong tone, nothing. The art is to find the right one. Practice seeing things in a neutral tone. I love to say, even do a bird's eye view, right? A bird's eye tone. So in a neutral tone would be something like the sun is shining. In a bird's eye view, the sun is shining in this town. You're just getting a broader perspective. If somebody is overstepping on your boundaries, inform them. Inform them that you don't like that. Express your values. Or you can simply say, I don't like you talking to me in that tone. Now, in many cases, our body language will speak before we will, and they will get the message that their action does not align with our standards. But that context is likely going to be delivered in a completely different manner. So if they go on, request that they stop. I asked you to stop talking to me like this. And by now, people should get it. But there are always one or two that continue. And if that happens, insist. I insist that you stop talking to me this way. And if all three steps don't help, leave. Walk away. You've done your part. Walk away neutrally. You have other things to do. You can't have a conversation while you are frustrated. Let's talk later. And that's a great boundary to wrap your head around. And what I've done here is I've really jumped into a bit of an overview when it comes to standards. I'm going to break that down a little bit for you as we move forward on today's show. I'm going to share with you what it's like to live by those standards, what those standards look like. And there is also going to be opportunities and ways for you to dig a little bit deeper. So you ready? You ready to get started? Okay, let's do this. We're gonna get deep. We're gonna get really deep here. You see, the big problem is that most people have it reversed. They have low standards, but high expectations. See, in other words, most people will accept all kinds of bad behavior from other people. They have very low standards. But then they're pissed, excuse my language, but I'm being very passionate here. They're pissed that they're being treated that way, which is a high expectation. So if you want a happy and fulfilled life, You've got to identify what those standards are. And then you need to stick to them while you balance keeping to your expectations and keep making sure those expectations are low. Usually, when I first talk about this concept, I get pushback. So I'm asking you to go to the end of this episode and hear me out and let me know sincerely what it is that you do think. You see, standards can be thought of as a bit of a personal code. Maybe the way you dress, the way you take care of yourself throughout the day, the way, the kind of rules that you set for yourself and that you follow in your life. These rules are kind of like your standard operating procedure, SOPs. It's an ongoing process, habits, behaviors, and things you want to consistently be doing. Now, your personal standards are a list of thoughts, actions, behaviors that are helpful to you. They're standards that you've set for yourself and others. They provide a framework, almost like goalposts, for your life. They determine what's acceptable to you and they prevent you from compromising what's important. So we need to define what those are. And to figure out those standards, you need to first identify in something that you call your deal breaker. What is your deal breaker? Everybody has a deal breaker. For instance, when I was on the dating spectrum, I would not date anybody that played video games. If a man approached me and he played video games, I was a hard no. No way. I had it right in my profile. That was a deal breaker. I've had two ex-husbands. They both played video games to the point where they interfered with the marriage. It wasn't the deal breaker at the time, but I am not putting myself in that position moving forward. So for me, that was a deal breaker. Everybody has a deal breaker, but few people consciously think about it. Your deal breaker is really your core. What do you believe on the inside? How many times have you told yourself things like this? I should lose weight. I should be more confident. I should earn more money. I should have a more passionate relationship with myself and others. See, people have an endless list of things they believe they should or should not follow. And all of these shoulds carry about the exact same weight as a New Year's resolution. If it happens, it's exciting, but if not, we won't be too disappointed because we knew it wasn't really going to happen anyway. You don't raise your standards enough to make it happen. So the very first step is to raise your standards. You know, let's take this to the next level here. What happens when you decide something is an absolute must? What happens when you cut off any other possibility than you succeeding? When you upgrade your standards and decide that I need to say it again. I need to say it a little bit more powerfully. When you upgrade your standards and decide that you will never settle for less, the magic shows up. You feel this from your inner core. That's how you know this is a belief, a possibility, a new standard, right? When you raise the standards in your life and turn shoulds into musts, you are making an inner shift to take control over the quality of your life. And only when you decide to accept nothing less than your ultimate goal, then you will achieve them. I feel like this is speaking to me, this whole paragraph, and I have to pop up and say this right now because I too believe I've been setting my standards way too low. It's time to move that bar. It's time to stop feeling small. We all feel small in certain areas of our lives, and whether we intend to or not, or whether life just gets so busy with us or not, or we honestly just forgot who we were for a second, just a second. just a second. It's time to bring that back in, reel that back in. And I'm going to say that again. You see, only when you decide to accept nothing less than your ultimate goal will you achieve it. What is your ultimate goal? Are you looking to lose? Are you looking to be under 150 pounds by next year? By next September? Are you sitting at about 200 pounds right now? I can help you reach that goal. That's a pound a week over the year. Wow. No, I'm serious. Wow. How many dress sizes would that be? What would your outfit look like? What would your wardrobe look like? How would you feel? What would your day to day look like? How would it feel like? Determine where to raise the standards, my friends. Most of us have numerous areas of our life where we could raise the standards. Three of the most common are creating healthy relationships, finding a fulfilling career path, and improving our health. So let's go in a little bit deeper on all three today. I want to go over this. I want to give you some real life scenarios that speak to you. Because when they speak to you, a couple of things are going to stand out. And I encourage you to write these down. Things that things you will no longer accept in your life. That's going to stand out. All of the behaviors will no longer tolerate. All of the behaviors you will no longer tolerate from other people. What does that look like? And all of the things you want to become. I love this exercise. This is the visualization. This is who is on your vision board. What does she look like? How does she dress? And you'll notice I say the dressing piece often. It's fluid for me. I love matching how I feel with what I do and how I dress. I love it. I've been doing this for years. So let's hone in a little bit deeper on these topics, right? Relationships, finding a career, and improving our health. Let's see what that looks like. I have another sip of water here. All right. Relationship is a different direction of your standards. I said that wrong. You know what? I should have done this recording a little bit earlier in the day, and I don't want to replay because I want to keep it honest with you guys. You know by now, if you've been listening often, I have inflamed nerves in my head. And when I get tired, I twist up my words a little bit. I trip over them, I twist them, and it takes me a little bit longer to go through what I'm getting through. And I'm noticing that on today's episode. It could be a lot more fluid, but I want to keep it real with you. It's not a big deal. At one point, I was really embarrassed by it, but I'm not. So I'm going to say this again. And sometimes it's just a matter of repeating, which is fine, because there's a reason I need to say the message twice, and there's a reason you need to hear this. Your relationship is a direct reflection of your standards. Some people are in a relationship, but they aren't happy because their standard is they must be in any relationship. So they'll just take anything. Not that they must be in a relationship with passion and excitement. If passion and excitement are part of what you're looking for, if that helps you cultivate joy and love, that's alignment. Others may be into a relationship because they don't want to ever get hurt. So they're always hurting themselves in relationships and stepping away from it and having those broken pieces all over again. So your relationship is a direct relation. Your relationship is a direct reflection of your standards. And again, that hits me. That hits me. Career. Your income right now is a result of your standards. It is not the industry. It is not the economy. Ouch, right? For all of my entrepreneur friends, I am saying that one again. Your income right now is a result of your standards. It is not the industry. It is not the economy. If you are not making the money you desire, you haven't reached the position you want, or you are stuck in an unfulfilling career. It's because your standard is to accept any offer that comes your way. Raising your standards, and you'll raise your worth all the time. All the time. I like that. I like that reminder. It's, and that's exactly what it is. It's a reminder of, okay, this is a snapshot. There is a physical snapshot of how I'm doing in my life. And there are different ways that I can change those standards. Health. Let's go into health. Our health is also a result of our standards. Many people wish they were thinner, healthier, or more fit, but wishing something and willing it are not the same thing. You must raise the standard for your health by making it a must. Tell yourself, tell yourself that you must get healthy in order to lead an extraordinary life. Like that, you guys know I'm a big fitness junkie. I call myself an athletic geek. I talk about movement in some of my coaching. It is so important to move that energy around. So, yeah, I completely believe that there's a strong reflection there, ripple effect to how we are setting those behaviors in our life, those habits, those standards. So, how are we going to raise those standards? We know a little bit more now about what those standards look like, what those beliefs looks like, some of the three top areas. But how are we going to raise them? There's two proven ways that you can raise your standards and begin living the life of your dreams. Step one is to determine how you think about yourself. Oh, by the way, I didn't say these were going to be easy. If you want real change, you have to be willing to do your part to upgrade your standards. And it starts with asking yourself honestly the beliefs that create your world. What do you believe about yourself? Are you a winner? Are you always a step behind? Are you always late? Are you always 2 minutes late to everything? Are you the life of the party? Are you the most reserved? Answering this question and discovering what your true beliefs are about yourself is critical. This becomes your identity. Well, this is your identity. And the fact is, we are hardwired to follow through on who we believe we are. So let's go walk through this example with me. Consider someone who wants to quit smoking. He may have said to himself, I'm going to do my best to stop smoking, but I've always been a smoker. It doesn't matter how hard he tries. If his identity is that he is a smoker, it's futile, it's useless, it's pointless. And the days until he is back smoking again are numbered because he won't raise the standard for who he is. And we act consistently with and ultimately become who we believe we are. We act consistently with and ultimately become who we believe we are. Yeah, that's huge, right? That's huge. The second point, you're going to like this. Break through your limiting beliefs. Easier said than done. Because most people, they look at how they are living their lives today, and they will find that they have a certain set of limiting beliefs about themselves. Limiting beliefs that were created 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. In fact, many of us made decisions when we were kids about what to believe, what we were capable of, and who we are as a person. And that became the glass ceiling that controlled us. Are you the same person you were 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago? I'm curious. I'm not. I for sure am not. Are you the same person you were even a year ago? I'm not. And I was quick to answer that. I am not. Human beings change constantly because we are driven by growth and self improvement. You naturally want to raise your standards, only your limiting beliefs hold you back. We all try. Many people try to break through that glass ceiling. They chalk it up to, well, that's just the way it is. It is what it is. That's just who I am. It's been this way for years. Ironically, when you do this, you are actually denying who you really are. You are living under a false identity that is based off false beliefs and adapted in the past. So, how do you define yourself, my friend? And when did you start to believe that? How many years ago did you decide what you could and could not do in your life? Powerful. Don't you think it's time to raise the standard? Turn your shoulds into musts and give yourself a new identity. And I'm sharing with you a couple of ways to get started on that new identity. Finding out what your deal breaker is. What is your non negotiable? What is your deal breaker? And identify your standards. As I said earlier, deal breaker and your standards are so connected. They are so connected. And the bottom line at the end of the day is, you're going to find that 80% of your time you feel appreciated in many ways in your relationship, in your career, with your health. And that's just part of the 20%. And that's to be expected. The bottom line is no one can be perfect. And it's impossible for you to meet your standards if you have nothing to reach for. And when you are trying to reach those standards, they can't be met 100% of the time. And build that in as your boundaries, as your beliefs. Because I want you to think of the big picture and not focus on the small picture. You want those high standards, low expectations. Again, you're not expecting all kinds of things from other people like your partner. You are actually expecting new behaviors from yourself. You're setting the bar with how you want others to treat you. Who is your life coach? If you don't have one, I would happy to be your life coach. Go ahead and check out the link in my bio. Take a look at my link tree. Do one of my alignment assessments. And let's get on a connect call and see where there is a fit for me to help you release the unwanted weight of stress, debt, and pounds. Talk to you soon, my friends. If you liked episode 180, please go ahead, follow, like, comment, share, subscribe so you know when my newest content is released and what I've got coming next. Have a great day.